So how did you first get involved with Squist?
So in 1980, I think, yeah, in the fall, in September, Mary Vickers, which I have not met before, contacted me and said there is like 4 or 5 of them, and they are meeting in science. They are in science, and they are meeting to do something for women in engineering, in science, and they like to include engineering. And at that time, I was the only woman in engineering at UBC. So I was delighted. I said, I would love to be with you. And we were meeting on Sundays at 11 a.m. in a restaurant called Horn of Plenty, I think. It was in the Denman Place Hotel, which later became known as Coast Plaza. Mm-hmm. And it is on Comox and Denman. And that fall, we were meeting every other Sunday for brunch and talking and discussing. So that's how I got involved. It was I have a feeling that these women, Hilda and Diana, Mary Jo and Abby, they all, knew each other, and they had an idea, and they wanted to include somebody from engineering. They didn't want to leave it only in science.
Well, in those days, I remember at meetings, people would say, as a woman in STEM, science, technology, engineering, medicine, I was alone, and I had certain muscles that only relaxed when I went to a Squist meeting.
Yes, so that's how I got involved.
What did it feel like to you to be with these other women in STEM in the early days when you were such a lone duck in the entire engineering faculty at UBC?
It was. They were really nice, and I met such nice people at Squist. It gave me a lot of energy. I didn't feel alone in a way, and I knew that there were people who shared my enthusiasm and my what I wanted to do, and it was very uplifting. And they were uplifting people, and they were really fun and nice and so honest and straightforward. It was just so wonderful to meet them and work with them.
And I remember without rank or status, the group it was everybody together.
That's right. At that time, women were really not treated well. At UBC, fabulous women were just sessional lecturers after sessional lecture. I was a sessional lecturer at that time, but luckily after 2 years, my colleagues thought, no, I was good to be a professor. and then I had to work very hard to get tenure and so on.
What's your field, Rabab?
My field in electrical engineering is called signal processing, which is responsible for compressing images, compressing videos, all things, compressing audio, hearing aids, all that thing which deals medical signals, which all that things, how to process them and get information out of them.
So everything from data acquisition from a target to hearing aids to satellite images being downloaded was your field.
Yes, in that. I worked a lot at that time in television signals as well, and later in medical signals and biomedical signals and brain-computer interfaces, deciphering baby crying signal. What does that signal carry? Is it a happy signal, or is it the baby is in stress? So you can get information from these audio, visual, or MRI or medical signals.
And the changes you've seen. I saw the advent of Teledyne, which was world leading for sending images by wire, to now we have streaming video and audio. How do you feel about the changes that have occurred in your academic lifetime?
It was incredible. I mean, I remember when we started at that time, when I was a student and early on, computing was hard. Not only to write the code, because we only had Fortran. We started with machine language, not high-level languages. And then we had to punch cards and carry the cards, walk all the way to the computing center, leave them, and then come hours later to fetch them, and then we had to debug them and walk again and walk again. It was, so that is all behind us now. We can use even the cell phone, never mind the computer or television, to send videos and to get so much information about what's happening inside the body with MRI and with all these machines.
Wonderful.
Medical.
I see, let's ask a couple of questions about where women in science and engineering were 40 years ago in your experience. And then I'll ask you about where we are now and where we have to go. So what were the problems for women in science and tech and engineering?
Get the jobs they deserved. It took me 9 years. I had a PhD for 9 years before I was appointed as an assistant professor. When I graduated from Berkeley, I was the second woman to get her PhD in electrical engineering. All the colleagues with me in Berkeley, the men, whatever boys, they all got jobs, really good jobs. But me, it was very, very hard. And so I think the biggest thing was to get the job that we really deserved and were able to do. Once we got all these women, even Mary and all, they were sessional lecturers. I mean, imagine. So at that time, also the students in engineering, I know more about engineering. When I joined UBC in 79, maybe there were 10%. Women students, or 8%. The professors, I was the only one amongst 200 in 1981 who was a professor. Well, now it's a different story. So that's
do you see there are still obstacles to women in academia?
Women, no, there is not. Of course, there are obstacles, but basically there has been a big change. For example, again, in engineering, instead of me being only one, now there is almost 30% of us women as professors, and also in research and teaching. The same with the students. In the last 2 years, there have been a big jump in the number of intake in engineering. It's no more the 8, 10, 12%. The last 2 years, it was 30%, 31%, something like that. So, so there have been a lot of change, and also society has changed in a way. I remember in 79 and the 70s, early 80s, and so on, the girls from high school considered us women in STEM like weird. We were nerds, not weird. We were nerds, and they didn't want to associate with us because they only cared about looking beautiful and getting.
And you were seen as unfeminine.
That's right. That's what I meant.
Did you feel unfeminine?
No, I didn't feel unfeminine. And when I had given a lot of talks to high school girls, and whenever I went to give talks to high school girls, or whether when we invited them to UBC, I made sure I looked very nice. And, did a bit of makeup, made sure I make my hair and so on. So when I went in, they did not say, oh, I am a nerd. And I gave them jokes. So they, so that's how many girls from those talks really then joined engineering, because they could see that they can still be a woman, but also participate in the technical world and be productive.
Did you have role models? What let you know, yes, I can be an engineering professor?
I really, in engineering, didn't have a role model. I mean, when I grew up, I only knew of Madame Curie. and she was my idol. And luckily I got, we studied about her in high school. And then my math teacher, he really encouraged me a lot. He said, what do you want to be? I said, maybe I want to be a dancer. He said, this is nonsense. You have to do something, which you can still dance on the side and whenever you want, but you have to participate in society, and you are very good in math and in science. So this is where you want to be. And then my uncle also, it was really men who encouraged me. My uncle also told me, Rabab, what about electronics? This is a new field, and you can be good at it. But then I had a problem because I grew up in Beirut, Lebanon, and the American University of Beirut was the best engineering school. They did not accept women. So I couldn't study engineering. But that time I was, really wanted to do it. I was the first in the baccalaureate in Lebanon, in all of Lebanon, in science and math. So I went to Egypt and I studied. I was very young then, like 17, but my parents allowed me, thanks to them, to go to Egypt and studied engineering. And then from there, I worked a bit and then went to Berkeley and so on.
Are you glad you did it?
Very, very glad I did it, because I really think that engineering is very important, and science, of course, because engineering is built on science and math. And I have my own profession, and I have also now many students who are women, graduated many PhD women, and some of them are professors. And it's been wonderful. And then UBC was very kind to me, and they made me director of a big research center. And it was eventually, everything was working well. And but the beginning was very hard, very, very hard.
What would you like to see for the future of SCWST and women in STEM?
I think SCWST has done a really wonderful, wonderful job. They are the most powerful women organization proving to be in Canada. And we have, now I know what is happening in other parts of the world, and I find that SCWST has been a leader in so many things, and now it's been copied somewhere else. But there are now many women in many fields in science. But if you notice, we still don't have women from minority groups. And this is what we want to concentrate on. We want to support women and minorities in general. And we can, I think this year there has been, our society at large is ready for that. Because and I like these women and minorities to go to science and engineering, because these are a game changer. They will feel good. Their own people will feel good about them. And it is very good for racial disparity, a technical career in science and engineering. It's not only good for engineering and science, but it's also good for them as well. Luckily there will be many jobs now in the future in the STEM field. And we have to keep feeding that pipeline. Will be many jobs in healthcare, and in telecommunication, in power, and the environment. And we have now to work towards minorities, and especially women in minorities. We can do a lot of things. We have to work harder at it, because it's very important to show these people that engineering and science is important. We really have to work hard to show them that. We know it is, but we have to present it in a better way. We have to make these fields culturally relevant to their needs. And we can arrange we can go and participate in schools. We can arrange internships in companies or in industry. This is something we have to work on.
Well, thank you. You talk about how now it's at the 30% level, which is the cutoff or the start of changing a culture. You need 30% representation. So you were the 0.5% in engineering faculty to begin with, and you've led the vanguard. And thank you for your gumption and your determination and your intelligence and skill. It's made such a difference.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure. And I want to thank everybody who has participated in SCOEST. You've made the world really much better.
Thank you, Rabab.